Paul Nurkkala is last year's DRL champion. And in this episode of the Michael Rollins Show, we talk about how he prepares for a race, how he gets ready. And I think that you guys are really going to like it. Talk to you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you the man who was so eager to be interviewed that he showed up an entire day early and caught me completely by surprise. But that was probably not his fault because, quite honestly, in our communications to touch base, he's been very busy and you've been very, very, very busy. As a matter of fact, we're recording this on August 13th.
That busy.
Yeah, you're that busy. You lost April. August 13th, and in our timeline right now, you have just won the DRL Miami level. So how you doing, man?
Good.
You've just won the first round, or is it the second round of DRL, the Miami?
It ended up a little confusing. So basically, we actually filmed two whole separate levels or races there.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were two complete individual races that were completed. The first one was level 1, quote, Miami, and that's the one that Van overtook. And then the second one was level 2, I think they called it Hard Rock, and that was the one that I won.
Okay, and it came down to the final race, right?
Yeah. Yep. The format this year is such that in the finals round, everyone qualifies into a golden heat, which is just one last winner take all sort of deal. And to get there, you have to win one heat in the entire final round. So you do 6 or 7 races, and everybody gets a bump into that golden round through there. And so, no matter what, unless somebody wins all 6 heats, there's gonna be some sort of sudden death golden round kind of thing at the end of the episode, and so I think that's what you're referencing, is that battle between me, Alex, and Blake. Yeah,
that was honestly, that was super exciting to watch. I don't know if was it that exciting while you were racing that day, or was it did the magic of editing come in to add a little bit of drama to it?
Honestly, I think it was more exciting in person. Like the magic of editing usually, like you're saying, bumps up the excitement level. For me, I think I remember it being even more exciting than it was. I did not realize how close Alex was on that last straightaway, because he came into within probably less than like a quarter second of passing me. Or, well, not passing me, but within that distance of where we were, because I took a really long line out of the swatch gate in that final pass. But it was very exciting, both in person and to rewatch it. Yeah, I was actually so as we were talking about earlier, I was at the Rotor Riot Studios. We had that up on the big screen watching it, and of course they couldn't tell me anything that was going to happen. They were, I don't know anything about this. There's nothing going on. But it was awesome to watch. And not only in that setting, but just be able to watch that kind of heads-up racing going on. I'm going to break in right here to announce for the very first time that there is a sponsor for the Michael Rollins Show, and that sponsor is none other than Pyrodrone. Pyrodrone has been in the FPV industry for a really, really long time. They have great customer support, super fast shipping, and you can find pretty much anything you need there. Pyrodrone is always giving back to the community, and in this case they've given back to us by giving us a 10% off coupon code PyroRollins. Thank you to Pyrodrone for sponsoring today's episode. You can find all the details in the description below, and I will talk to you soon. You were just mentioning that it's grind time. You are prepping how much and how often for these races? Yeah, so when I'm heading into a DRL race, I'll typically, I'll basically, sometimes we film one race a month, sometimes it's every 6 weeks or so, but typically the 20-25 days before a race, I block out my calendar. I don't accept any filming gigs or any kind of contract work or family vacations or anything. I say this is dedicated to practice. And so what my average day ends up looking like is I typically go to bed somewhat late, and we'll get to why in a sec. So I'll get up about 10 and spend the first couple hours of the day editing and working on the YouTube brand, the Nurk stuff, all of that kind of things. Just because that is a constant thing that I need to keep pushing, or else it will fall off. Believe me, I would step away from it if I could, for the times that I'm in this grind. But I can't do that. And then I will pack all of my stuff into the car. I drive across town 30 minutes to our permanent track. If I need to rebuild the track in some way to suit a different kind of obstacle or something, that's when I take the time to do that right at the beginning of the day, get all sweaty and nasty, and and then I will fly from pretty much 2 p.m. or so until dark, which right now is about 8:45 p.m. So those roughly 8 hours or 7 hours are pack after pack after pack of practice. All of it's time practice. All of it is looking for, how do I improve a line? How do I grab a couple tenths of a second back? And if I'm not practicing, it's because I've broken something so badly that I need to take time to sit there and fix it. And then, so, about 9 o'clock, I'll either have broken my last bits for the day, or I have run out of daylight, drive home, immediately go to the gym and do 45 minutes to an hour of cardio. I can point you to a lot of very interesting research about mental aptitude and focus from exercise and stuff. I don't look like a fit guy. I'm not, but I do make the effort to make my body create those chemicals for my brain, and that helps solidify all of that practice. Come home, usually an hour or two of video games just to unwind for a bit, then fix drones until I can't see straight and fall asleep, and rinse repeat. And I'll do that 5 or 6 days a week, that whole thing.
Dude, that is a grind.
It's a grind. So when I jump on the podcast a day early, it's because I just went through that whole day. Actually, I still have to work out after this. It's currently 10:40 at night. That's kind of why I can get a little frazzled sometimes, for sure.
Well, thank you very much for taking time out of that grind to come be on this podcast, because that is epic right there. How many drones, how many quads do you take with you to the field?
So I really only have 2 Racer 4s at any given time, but I have a bunch of parts for them. So I bring all of my spare parts, all of my spare propellers, and if I do break something, which isn't that often because they're pretty beastly machines, I typically will be able to fix them and have them running within a couple minutes of breaking them at the field.
Okay, but this is not, I mean, I've heard, and I've never actually held one, but I've heard that these things are absolute tanks. This is not one of those things where, oh look, both of them are broken, I can just pull out my regular 5-inch and just
exactly
zip around the field. It's gotta be that machine.
It's for me, it does. I think for some other pilots, it doesn't have to always be that same machine. I think there's some level of just improving reflexes or improving lines or something like that. But for me, as one of the old guys in the drone racing league, it's
how old are you?
I'm 28. I'm not even
okay.
that old, but relatively speaking, all of the synapses and neurons are kind of locked in.
They're slowing down now, yeah.
And so for me, it's important to take advantage of the opportunity to practice the exact machine, where it takes me a little bit longer to switch back and forth between like a 5-inch drone and a Racer 4. The Racer 4, like we're saying, is it weighs 1.2 kilograms. Your standard racing quad with a 6S 1200 1300 milliamp battery is what, 550 grams?
I mean, and that's probably that's heavy.
So so take your quad, strap another quad on top of it, and then put 2 GoPros on it, and then go fly, and that's what it's like flying. a racer bar.
Yeah.
So it's a very different style of flying.
And they're not. I mean, they're not super powered machines either, right?
No. Well, I mean, they probably put out close to 2K thrust.
Okay.
Per motor. So, you're looking at 8K, but that's spread out across 1.2 kilograms. So, you're bringing it down to like a 7-to-1, 6-to-1 thrust to weight, where like a standard 5-inch would be a 12, 13, 14-to-1. But
that is a huge difference. So, where does I mean, you're a family man, right?
Yeah.
Where does family time fall on that?
Rachel,
or does it?
Do I spend enough time with you? She says yes.
Okay.
we have to make it intentional. We will take vacations. And when I get into this grind, Rachel will work a little bit more as well. She's a nurse. She's actually just about on her way to work here at 11 o'clock at night because she works third shift. So, we'll typically try to find time to overlap in the periods where we're both awake and home, and then we'll also go on vacation together fairly often. Like we have a lake house that we can go to, and I can use time there to train, or I can just totally separate and just be with the family. So I find time either way, no matter what.
You talk about there's this grind, which by the way, I'm married to a nurse as well, so awesome. I appreciate the nurses in this world. Tell her she does good work.
I will.
What do you think is the toughest aspect of DRL for you? Like where is the hardest part?
So for me, the hardest part is controlling my brain. I am fast. I can beat pretty much everybody if I'm in the right headspace. For example, level 1 and 2 this year, I did have the fastest lap time at the end of the day. Even though I crashed a lot in level 1 and a couple times in level 2 and kind of just barely edged out Vanover for that finals, but that was the fastest heat of the entire thing. So it's possible, like it exists within me. But for whatever reason, I get into this state where I can't unlock that. Even if I'm happy and excited to fly and all this stuff, I'm not experiencing nerves. There's some other like 5%, 10% that I can't always turn the key on and open up and get it out. And so either what will happen is I spend the entire race searching for that, or I've found it right at the beginning and I just dominate the whole way through. And so my weakness is figuring out how to get that to go. And in like that, the only way that I can see to get close to that is to go through ritual and process and this very intentional effort to bring myself into that headspace. This daily grind kind of thing is one of those parts, one part of that process. So,
what does that ritual look like?
I don't know if I'm just gonna give away these secrets.
Well, I mean, you don't have to.
It's okay. It's gonna look different for any person. So I would be excited for somebody to benefit from hearing what I do anyway. So I have the grind. That's the kind of segment of that we're in. That looks like 21, 25 days of just hardcore. We're getting work done. When I'm traveling to the race, typically that's like a plane ride or whatever, I watch Talladega Nights. Because I know that sounds funny, but you look at the attitudes and the drive and the decision making and the process of like what they're talking about and how they live that life to as much as it is, like that gets me excited. It starts to put me in that headspace. It gets me ready to if you're not first, you're last. And I also watch the movie Rush, which is a movie from Ron Howard, who between Niki Lauda and James Hunt, in their 1970s battle of awesomeness, 80s. And that's so those two things are in there. Those start to kind of push me into that headspace. And then day of race, it's wake up at whatever time I need to be waking up. I will make sure that I am going to bed early enough to get a good 8-9 hours of sleep before a race. That means I have to take some, Benadryl and melatonin and everything that I need to make sure that I get that rest so that I can wake up and eat really healthy that whole day. I will get 30 minutes to 45 minutes of cardio in before, and then I sit down and I review DVR. So I'll spend 30-45 minutes just playing some music. Like I usually need to push myself up mentally rather than calm myself down before a race. I don't know why, but that's just kind of the way that my gears work. So I'm, pumping in some rap.
Eye of the Tiger,
While I'm reviewing DVR and I'm looking for these opportunities to create lines and building mental visualizations, I'm closing my eyes, not looking at it, and memorizing my way through the track and remembering where I'm hitting apexes and hitting gates and everything, because I'm trying to earn every little microsecond back that I can from these big slow drones. And then, get to the race. I'm not trying to, get into anybody's head or anything like that. I'm not trying to talk to anybody. I'm not doing these sorts of things. I'm just have some music, kind of get amped up, and then as soon as I walk out, I've done all of those things that I need to do to get myself into that like Nurk headspace and outside of the Paul headspace, and that's kind of when everything just turns on and everything kind of clicks back into place. So I'm just trying to drop each of those different pistons back into my head and say go, and then by the time I walk out, I'm into that. I'm ready to race. I'm ready to go.
Paul's process for getting ready for a race is pretty intense, and it all leads up to that actual race itself, which we talk a lot about in the next episode. I'd invite you to go check out the links below so that you can find out where to find Paul in all the places that he's available, including on Instagram and YouTube. I also would love to see you check out my Patreon, because my Patreon helps support these videos. And finally, I would love to thank our sponsor, Pyrodrone. They are making these videos possible, but not only are they sponsoring today's episode, they're also giving back to the community by giving you a code that you can use on checkout for 10% off. Give them some love for sponsoring the episode. Thank you, and have a great day.